You know, when you see a BMW drive by, you probably think, success, right? Luxury, performance. But what if I told you that this absolute giant of the car world was once on its knees, literally making pots and pans just to stay alive? Well, this is that story. It's the incredible story of a true survivor. And you get it, right? For so many people, a BMW isn't just four wheels and an engine. It's a whole identity. It's a status symbol. I mean, they literally call themselves the ultimate driving machine. It's a brand that people work towards, a name that's just become synonymous with top-tier quality and amazing engineering. But that legacy, that whole powerful image, was almost completely wiped from history. The journey from building airplane engines to building these incredible cars is just full of these crazy, near-disaster moments and unbelievable pivots. So the real question is, how on earth did a company that was once making kitchenware become a global icon? Okay, so here's how we're gonna break it all down. First, we'll look at how BMW became more than just a car. Then, we'll see how it rose from the ashes to actually build automobiles. We'll hit that ultimate turning point that saved it from total collapse, see how it built itself into a global icon, and then finally, we'll get into what's really in a brand like this. So to understand how BMW became so much more than a car, we have to go all the way back to the beginning. And believe it or not, this story doesn't start on a road. It starts way up in the sky, right in the middle of the chaos of World War I. So what do those three letters, BMW, even stand for? It's Bayerische Motoren Werke, which is German for Bavarian Motor Works. And it wasn't started by some genius in a garage. Nope. It was actually born from a merger in 1916 between two existing aviation companies. And their whole mission? It was pretty simple. Build the absolute best aircraft engines in all of Germany. And boy, did they deliver. You see, BMW's very first product wasn't a car at all. It was this beast right here, the BMW 3A, a straight-six aircraft engine. This thing was so powerful, so reliable at high altitudes, that it became a legend among pilots. It was setting new altitude records left and right. So the company's reputation for world-class engineering, it started right there, up in the cloud. But all that success in the sky came to a dead stop. The end of World War I brought the Treaty of Versailles, and that treaty didn't just end the war, it almost ended BMW for good. This is their journey from ashes to automobiles. I mean, you can't overstate how bad it was. Germany lost the war, BMW's factories were bombed out, and then the treaty specifically banned German companies from making aircraft or aircraft engines. And just like that, their entire reason for existing was just gone, wiped out. So what do? You're this cutting-edge engineering firm, and you're legally forbidden from making your only product. Well, you do whatever you have to do to survive. For BMW, that meant a pivot so dramatic, it's almost funny. Step 1, making pots and pans. Seriously. Step 2, building bicycles. Step 3, producing brakes for railway cars. It was a desperate fight just to keep the company alive. But slowly, piece by piece, they started to climb back. In 1923, they got back to their roots a little with their first motorcycle, the R32, and it was so good it actually set a world speed record that held up for 14 years. 5 years later, in 1928, they finally made their first car, the little Dixi, but man, the road back was long. Even after the Second World War, their first car, the BMW 501, was a huge, expensive flop. They were making vehicles again, sure, but they were driving full speed towards a cliff. And that brings us to the ultimate turning point, because even though they were back in the car business, BMW was just bleeding cash. By the late 1950s, they couldn't compete with cheaper cars like the VW Beetle, and the entire company was just hurtling towards total collapse. The year is 1959. The company is hemorrhaging money, it's deep in debt, and it is right on the edge of bankruptcy. This wasn't just a bad year, this was rock bottom, the absolute lowest point in BMW's entire history. Everything they had fought for was about to just vanish. And of course, the vultures were circling. And who was leading the pack? Their biggest rival, the much larger, much more successful Daimler-Benz. They saw their chance and put a takeover offer on the table. It really, truly looks like this was the end of the road for BMW as its own company. But then, at this super dramatic shareholder meeting, something amazing happened. A small group of shareholders and even employees just revolted. They refused to approve the sale. Their defiance bought just enough time for one man, an industrialist named Herbert Quandt, to make a huge decision. He saw potential where everyone else saw failure. He stepped in, upped his family's stake in the company, and single-handedly saved BMW. And Quandt's money didn't just save BMW, it completely reinvented it. That new funding allowed them to develop something called the New Class, a whole new line of sporty, compact sedans. And these cars, they were a massive hit, a huge commercial success. This is what finally forged the identity that we know BMW for today, the ultimate driving machine. So that rescue act, it didn't just keep the lights on. It kicked off this incredible era of growth. With a clear new identity and, actual money in the bank, BMW was finally ready to go from a survivor to a superstar. They were ready to start building a global icon. And they built their modern empire on a really simple but brilliant idea. The 5 Series, the 3 Series, and the 7 Series. They all launched in the 70s. This created this perfect ladder for people to climb. You could start with a sporty little 3 Series, move up to the executive 5 Series, and then aspire to the flagship 7 Series. This lineup became the absolute backbone of the brand, and it basically defined the luxury sports sedan market for decades. And to really hammer home their performance cred, they created the M division. You know what M stands for? Motorsport. It was originally just for their racing program, but in 1978, they put out their first road car, and suddenly you could get track-level engineering on the street. It created a legend within a legend. They also grew through some really savvy and, let's be honest, kind of ruthless business deals. The fight for Rolls-Royce back in the 90s was like a masterclass in corporate chess. So Volkswagen actually bought the factory and the company that owned both Bentley and Rolls-Royce. But in this crazy surprise move, BMW had already cut a side deal for the rights to the Rolls-Royce name and logo. So after this really tense standoff, they struck a deal. Volkswagen got to keep Bentley, but BMW walked away with the crown jewel, the full rights to build a whole new generation of Rolls-Royce cars. Okay, so all of this history, the planes, the near bankruptcy, the legendary cars, it all came together to forge one of the strongest brands on the planet. So for our final section, let's really dig in and ask, what's in that brand? What are the secrets behind this enduring legend? Let's start with the logo, one of the most famous in the world. You've probably heard the story, right? That it's a spinning airplane propeller against a blue sky, a nod to their aviation roots. It's a great story, but it's totally a myth. The reality is actually a tribute to their home. The logo simply uses the blue and white checkered pattern from the flag of Bavaria, the German state where it all started. So, when you boiled it all down, what are the big takeaways from this insane story? Well, first, success is often born from repeated failure. They failed over and over, but they kept going. Second, they were rescued from the absolute brink of bankruptcy in 1959. It doesn't get much closer than that. Third, their reputation today was built on a very specific idea, sport-oriented engineering. They found their niche and they owned it. And finally, if you look at the whole picture, it's a legacy that is just defined by pure, stubborn determination. And that brings us right to today and the challenges ahead. BMW's entire history, as we've seen, is one of survival and reinvention. It survived 2 world wars, a near total collapse, and huge shifts in the industry. So the question now is, in this new age of electric cars and autonomous driving, can this legendary survivor do it again? Can it reinvent itself one more time to thrive for the next 100 years?